My name is Alara Walker. For the last 7 years, my life has been what you might see in the glossy pages of a lifestyle magazine. A restored craftsman home in Hawthorne Creek, a polished, leafy suburb just east of Seattle where the rain seems to wash the world clean each morning. A husband, Liam, whose success in the rarefied world of art and antiquities logistics afforded us this life. And our daughter, Maya, a quiet, watchful 6-year-old with my dark hair and her father's thoughtful gray eyes. I was the curator of this perfect existence, arranging the furniture, the school schedules, the social engagements, all with a practiced ease that belied the faint, persistent hum of anxiety beneath the surface. I'd convinced myself it was contentment. The digital clock on our nightstand read 4:17 a.m. when Liam kissed me goodbye. I kept my breathing even, a performance of sleep I had perfected over the years. His work often took him to far-flung places, Singapore this time, for a gallery acquisition. "Love you," he whispered, his breath a warm ghost against my temple. I waited until the soft click of the bedroom door, then the fainter thud of the front door closing before opening my eyes. Through the rain-streaked window, I watched the headlights of his Volvo SUV sweep across the wet lawn and disappear down the street. Another week of solo parenting. I pulled the heavy duvet up to my chin, the scent of him still lingering on the pillow, and tried to coax myself back to sleep. But sleep, as it often did when he left, refused to come. Instead, I lay in the pre-dawn quiet, taking inventory of my life, wondering if a life so perfectly constructed could possibly be real. By 6:30, the smell of cinnamon and roasting apples filled the kitchen. Maya loved baked oatmeal, and the ritual of making it grounded me. I heard her small feet padding on the reclaimed hardwood floors. "Is Daddy gone?" she asked, climbing onto a stool at the quartz island. She was a child of quiet observations, her silences often more telling than her words. "He is, Sweet Pea. Off to Singapore. He'll be back next Tuesday." I slid a bowl in front of her. "Eat up. Ms. Anya will be here for your piano lesson soon." As she ate, my eyes scanned the kitchen counter, a habit of tidiness. Something glinted next to the espresso machine, Liam's watch. It wasn't just any watch. It was a vintage Heuer chronograph, a gift from my late father to his own father, which I had given to Liam on our first anniversary. It was his talisman. He'd once driven 2 hours back home from a weekend trip because he'd forgotten it. A cold knot formed in my stomach. "What's wrong, Mommy?" Maya asked, her spoon paused midair. "Daddy forgot his watch." I picked it up, its familiar weight feeling alien in my hand. The leather strap was worn in a way that spoke of constant companionship. That's not like him. I slipped it into the pocket of my robe, the cold metal a small, hard point of wrongness against my hip. After Maya's piano lesson, I took a walk, the misty Seattle air clinging to my jacket. My phone buzzed. An email from Cathay Pacific confirming Liam's check-in for his flight to Singapore. I smiled, a wave of relief washing over me. I was being silly. A forgotten watch was just a forgotten watch. Later that afternoon, my best friend, Chloe, dropped by with a bottle of wine. We'd known each other since college, and she was one of the few people who'd seen the less polished versions of my life. "Thanks for coming," I said, leading her to the covered back deck where a small fire pit flickered against the gray afternoon. "Of course. Single Mommy Week solidarity." She settled into an armchair. "Everything okay? You seem a little on edge." "Just the usual. Liam left for Singapore this morning." A strange expression, something akin to pity, crossed Chloe's face before she smoothed it away. "Singapore? Are you sure?" "Yes, why?" The cold knot in my stomach returned, tighter this time. "It's probably nothing." She took a large gulp of wine. I thought I saw his car parked near the waterfront this afternoon. At that little Italian place, Il Posto. But it's a common model." I must have been mistaken. "You must have been," I agreed, my voice a little too bright. "He texted me from the airport. I got the check-in confirmation." She nodded, but her eyes wouldn't quite meet mine. The seed of doubt, once planted, began to sprout, its roots twisting around the foundations of my carefully built world. That evening, as I was tucking Maya into bed, she clung to my sleeve. Her face was solemn, her gray eyes wide and serious. "We have to be quiet tonight, Mommy." "Why is that, sweet pea?" I asked, smoothing her hair. "A storm is coming," she whispered. "Daddy said a storm is coming and we have to be ready to leave." The wooden spoon from dinner felt like it was still in my hand, frozen mid-stir. "When did Daddy say that, honey?" On the phone, she shook her head, looking down at the pattern on her quilt. "Yesterday, when we were in the garden. He said you would know what to do." I crouched down, trying to read her expression. "Maya, are you sure you didn't have a bad dream?" "It wasn't a dream." Her lower lip trembled. "Please, Mommy. I'm scared." I held her, my mind a frantic swirl of forgotten watches, mistaken sightings, and cryptic warnings. "There's nothing to be scared of. We are safe here. This is our home." But the words felt like a lie, thin and brittle in the quiet of her room. Later, unable to settle, I found myself in Liam's study. His laptop sat closed on the antique mahogany desk. On a hunch, I typed in the password, Ilara_1984. My name and birth year. It had always been that. Access denied. I tried Maya's birthday. Our anniversary. Nothing. A cold wash of fear, sharp and metallic, prickled my skin. I wasn't just locked out of his computer, I was locked out of his life. Then I remembered something he'd said once, a joke about his real work. I typed opus_nocturne. The screen unlocked. I felt a pang of guilt, a sense of trespass, but I pushed it down. The desktop was clean, but a single folder with the same name, opus_nocturne, sat in the corner. I clicked it. It was filled with encrypted files, but one subfolder was unprotected, labeled assets. It wasn't stocks or bonds. It was filled with photographs of priceless art, shipping manifests with glaring discrepancies, and chat logs with names I didn't recognize, discussing relocations and insurance policies in a language I intuitively understood was code. My heart hammered against my ribs. What was I looking at? I remembered the security system Liam had insisted on installing last year. I opened the app on my phone and scrolled through the footage from the garden. And there it was. A 1-hour gap, from 3 to 4 p.m. yesterday afternoon. The exact time Maya said she'd been talking to her father. The footage hadn't just been missed, it had been expertly erased. The next morning, I woke before dawn, a decision settled deep in my bones. I slipped out of bed and went to the back of my closet. Behind a row of cocktail dresses I rarely wore, I pulled out a small leather duffel bag. It was my runaway bag, a relic from a childhood spent with a brilliant but volatile father whose moods could turn on a dime. Inside was $5,000 in cash I'd skimmed from household budgets over the years, copies of our passports and birth certificates, a prepaid phone, and a change of clothes for me and Maya. I moved through the silent house, a ghost in my own life, gathering essentials, Maya's worn stuffed seal, prescription medications, my laptop. On the kitchen island, I left a note. Liam, Maya has been asking to visit my sister in Portland. Taking her for a few days. We'll call when we get there. My sister, Sarah, lived in Denver. Liam knew we hadn't spoken in 6 months after a fight. It was a flimsy lie, but it might buy us time. Maya, I whispered, gently shaking her awake. We're going on an adventure. We need to get dressed quickly. Her eyes flew open, instantly alert. Is the storm here? I looked at her, my brave, perceptive child. Yes, I said, my voice thick. The storm is here. By 7 a.m., we were in my car, heading north on I-5, not south toward Portland. We were going to my mother's cabin on Orcas Island, a place I hadn't visited since she died 3 years ago. A place Liam had only been to once, a place he'd called beautifully desolate. It was the only sanctuary I could think of. We stopped for gas in a small town just before the Anacortes ferry terminal. While Maya was inside using the restroom, a man in a nondescript jacket approached me from the next pump. He was average in every way, except for the unnerving intensity of his gaze. He accidentally bumped my shoulder as he walked past. "He's not protecting you," he murmured, his voice so low it was almost lost in the hiss of the pump. "He's containing you. The island won't be safe for long." Before I could process his words, he was gone, climbing into a dark sedan and pulling away. The ferry ride was surreal. Maya, mesmerized by the churning water and the distant, green-humped islands, seemed to forget her fear. I stood on the deck, the cold salt spray on my face, feeling as though I'd sailed off the edge of my own map. The cabin was just as I remembered it, small and smelling of cedar, dust, and the faint, lingering scent of my mother's lavender soap. I opened the windows to the sea air while Maya explored, her delight in the small, forgotten space a balm to my frayed nerves. In the hall closet, I found boxes of my mother's things I'd never had the heart to sort through. In a box labeled journals, I found something tucked between the pages, a photograph I had never seen before. It was of Liam, years younger, standing beside another man. They were in a gallery, smiling for the camera. The man beside him was the one who had bankrupted my father's company a decade ago, a man whose name was synonymous with ruin in my family. The timestamp on the photo was from 3 months before Liam and I ever met. My phone rang, the sound jarring in the profound quiet. "Liam. Alara? What the hell is going on?" His voice was a whip-crack of anger. "Where are you? Didn't you get my note?" "We're with Sarah." I called Sarah. "She hasn't heard from you in months." My stomach plummeted. "You called my sister?" "Of course I did. I land in Hong Kong, my flight was diverted, to find you've taken our daughter and disappeared. What was I supposed to think?" I took a deep breath, the cold weight of the Hoyer watch still in my pocket. "Liam, I saw Chloe. She saw your car at Il Posto yesterday." A beat of silence. "That's ridiculous. I was on my way to the airport. I also found a photo of you with the man who destroyed my father's business. From before we met." The silence on the other end of the line was different this time. It wasn't confusion, it was calculation. "Alara, you're spiraling again," he said, his voice softening into that familiar, condescending tone of concern he used whenever my anxiety surfaced. "Is that what this is about? You're connecting dots that aren't there." The casual cruelty of it, the weaponizing of my own vulnerability, solidified my resolve. "I'm not spiraling," I said quietly. "Maya said you told her a storm was coming." "What? That's insane." "Put her on the phone. She's asleep." "Alara, listen to me. Whatever you think is happening, you're wrong. Please, just come home. We'll sort this out. I'm worried about you." The practiced sincerity that had once soothed me now made my skin crawl. "I need to go," I said, and hung up. My phone immediately buzzed with a text from Chloe. "Call me." "I'm so sorry. I didn't know everything." Before I could, there was a knock on the cabin door. My heart leaped into my throat. Through the window, I saw the dark sedan from the gas station. The man from the pump stood on the porch, his hands in his pockets, his expression unreadable in the fading light. I grabbed the heavy cast-iron poker from beside the stone fireplace. "Who is it?" I called out, my voice shaking. "My name is Daniel," he said. "I used to work with your husband. I think you and your daughter are in more danger than you know." I kept the chain on the door as I opened it a crack. The poker was hidden behind my back, my knuckles white around the handle. "How did you find me?" "Liam has a tracker on your car. On everything," he said flatly. "I disabled mine. I assumed you wouldn't know how." He mentioned this place once. Called it your emotional fallout shelter. The violation of it, the casual ownership, stole my breath. I undid the chain and let him in. "Talk," I said. "And make it fast." Daniel sat at the small pine table, his posture relaxed, but his eyes constantly scanning. "Your husband isn't in logistics. He's a curator. But not for galleries. He works for a syndicate called the Meridian Group. They use high-value art to launder money and smuggle whatever their clients need: data, jewels, people. The words from the chat logs on Liam's laptop clicked into place. Relocations. Insurance. That's insane, I whispered, though I knew it was the truth. Is it? Daniel slid a burner phone across the table. Liam's backup. He dropped it during a meeting. It has his real ledger on it. I scrolled through messages, my world tilting on its axis. Transactions worth millions. Coded references to shipments. And then I saw it, a thread with Chloe. Not just flirtatious texts, but questions about my family, my father's business, my inheritance, or lack thereof. Why are you showing me this? I asked, my voice hollow. Because Liam made a mistake. He got sentimental. He was supposed to acquire you, assess your family's potential remaining assets after Meridian bankrupted your father, and then move on. Instead, he married you. Now, a key financial player in their network has gone missing, and Meridian is cleaning house. Liam, and by extension you and Maya, are loose ends. I felt a wave of nausea. My entire marriage, my life, my daughter, it was all a business transaction. An acquisition. I stepped onto the small back porch, the chilly air a shock to my system, and called Chloe. She answered on the first ring, her voice thick with tears. Alara, I'm so sorry. The affair, it was a mistake, a moment of weakness, but that's not. She took a ragged breath. He asked me to help him research you before you even started dating. He said it was for a security clearance. I never thought. You lied to me, I said, the words flat and dead. For 7 years. I know. And I can't fix that. But you need to know he's not who you think he is. He's dangerous. I ended the call, my capacity for shock exhausted. I went back inside. Maya was standing in the kitchen doorway, her stuffed seal clutched to her chest. She was looking at Daniel. Are you one of the storm people? She asked, her voice small. Daniel's expression softened. No. I'm here to help you get away from them. Maya looked from him to me. Daddy did a bad thing, didn't he? She asked. I knelt and pulled her into a hug, burying my face in her hair. Yes, sweet pea, I whispered. He did. After I settled Maya in the small bedroom with a picture book, I returned to the kitchen. Daniel had made tea. Meridian is run by a man named Victor Kane, he said. The man from the photograph. Liam was his protege. But Liam started hiding money, setting up an escape route. Kane found out. Now he wants everything back, including his investment. He looked me right in the eye. You are the investment. My phone rang. An unknown number. I answered, my hand trembling. Mrs. Walker? This is Detective Morales, Seattle PD. The voice was calm, professional. I need to speak with you regarding your husband. We have reason to believe you and your daughter may be in danger. How did you get this number? Your friend, Chloe Hartley, came to us. She's provided a statement. I looked at Daniel, who seemed genuinely surprised. Mrs. Walker, the detective continued, we are moving on your husband's known associates. We need you to come in. There are legal documents, storage units, bank accounts, with your signature on them. Forgeries, I said automatically. Perhaps. But we need to establish that. Where are you? I ended the call, my mind racing. We have to go, I told Daniel. Running makes you look guilty, he countered. Think. If the police are involved, that's our leverage. We need to control the narrative. What narrative? My life is a lie. Then let's use that lie. Daniel's eyes were sharp, intelligent. Liam built this cage for you, Alara. But a cage has a door. We just need to find the key. Detective Morales was a port in the storm, his calm demeanor a stark contrast to the chaos of my life. We met at a nondescript coffee shop in Burlington, halfway back to the mainland. Maya sat in a corner with a hot chocolate and my iPad, safely out of earshot. I'd left Daniel at the cabin, a reluctant truce between us. Your husband is a ghost, Morales said, after I'd laid out the phones, the photo, and the story. For the last 48 hours, he's been untraceable. But Chloe's testimony and the data on these phones give us enough to get warrants. What about Daniel? I asked. His name is on our list of Kane's associates. He's playing his own angle. For now, he's more useful as an unknown quantity. He leaned forward. We need to draw Liam out. And you're the only one who can do it. The plan was terrifyingly simple. I would call Liam from a secure hotel room, pretending to be lost and scared, and try to get him to incriminate himself and, more importantly, Victor Kane. That evening, in a bland hotel room that smelled of disinfectant, I dialed his number. Evie was asleep in the adjoining room with a plainclothes officer posted outside her door. Morales sat across from me, listening in. Alara? Thank God. Are you okay? His voice, so full of practiced concern, made my stomach clench. I'm scared, Liam, I said, letting the real tremor in my voice bleed through. I'm at the cabin. I don't know who to trust. Daniel is here. He told me everything. A long silence. Daniel is a liar. He works for Kane. He was sent to find you. It was the one thing Daniel hadn't told me. The double cross. I don't know what to believe. I cried, the performance and the reality merging into one. The photo, Liam. You knew who I was before we met. Yes, he said, his voice dropping, becoming intimate, persuasive. I did. I was assigned to you. But then I met you, Alara. And everything changed. I fell in love with you. I tried to build a wall around you, around us, to keep you safe from them. Safe? You built a prison and called it a home. It was the only way. I've been setting up an escape for us. Money, passports, a new life. Everything is ready. Just trust me. Tell me where you are. I can get you away from Daniel. The police are involved, I said, playing my final card. They have the phones. They know about Meridian. The silence that followed was chilling. When he spoke again, all pretense was gone. His voice was cold steel. What have you done, Alara? What I had to do to protect our daughter. You've just signed our death warrant, he hissed. Kane will burn everything to the ground to stop this. He'll come for Maya. Stay away from us, I whispered, and hung up. Morales was on his feet. He's right about one thing. We need to move you. Now. As we hurried down the service corridor, my phone buzzed with an email from Liam. No subject. Just a GPS coordinate and 3 words, the first lie. It was the address of the gallery where we'd first met. An arranged meeting I'd believed was a chance encounter for 7 years. Another buzz. A photo. Me and a baby Maya in a park, taken from a distance. Another. Me at the grocery store. Another. Our house, with a dark sedan parked across the street. Daniel's car. He hadn't just found me at the cabin, he'd been watching us for weeks. A final email. He was never protecting you. He was cataloging you. Go to the gallery. Storeroom 7. The key is in the watch. The watch. The one I'd taken from the counter, now a dead weight in my purse. I showed Morales the messages. It's a trap, he said. Or it's the only way out, I countered. He knows he's lost. Maybe this is his penance. We never made it to the car. As we exited into the underground parking garage, Liam stepped out from behind a concrete pillar. He looked tired, hunted. Morales drew his weapon. I'm not armed, Liam said, his hands raised. I just need to give her this. He tossed a small key onto the ground between us. It's not for the storeroom. It's for a safety deposit box at the bank across the street. Everything you need to destroy Kane is in there. Proof he was blackmailing me. Proof he ordered the hit on the missing financier. Headlights cut across the garage. Daniel's sedan screeched to a halt, blocking the exit. He got out, a gun in his hand, a smug smile on his face. Touching reunion, he said. But Victor is tired of waiting. He wants his property back. All of it. His eyes flicked to me, then to where Maya's room was, 2 floors above. In that moment, something inside me broke free. I wasn't a victim in a cage. I was a mother. I saw the large red fire alarm panel on the wall behind Daniel. Before anyone could react, I grabbed a heavy-duty flashlight from Morales's duty bag, ran, and smashed the glass. The alarm blared, a deafening shriek that echoed through the concrete space. Emergency sprinklers erupted, dousing us all in icy water. Chaos. In the confusion, Liam tackled Daniel. "Go," he yelled at me. "Get the evidence. Protect our daughter." Morales grabbed my arm, pulling me toward his car as the sound of approaching sirens grew louder. "Come on." I looked back one last time. Liam and Daniel were struggling on the wet pavement, two men caught in the wreckage of a life built on lies. Liam glanced up, his eyes finding mine through the flashing lights and the artificial rain. It wasn't the look of a captor, but of a man finally letting go of the key to his own cage. The months that followed were a blur of lawyers, depositions, and therapy sessions. The evidence in the safety deposit box was exactly what Liam had promised, a meticulously documented account of Victor Kane's empire, enough to bring the entire Meridian Group crashing down. Liam, in exchange for his testimony, received a reduced sentence. Daniel, facing a slew of charges, disappeared into the federal system. And Chloe, whose misguided loyalty had almost cost me everything, was given probation in exchange for her full cooperation. I sold the house in Hawthorne Creek and the cabin on Orcas Island, exorcising the ghosts of a life that had never truly been mine. I reclaimed my maiden name, Walker, a small but significant act of taking back my identity. The last time I spoke to Liam was on a crackling prison phone line a week before his sentencing. "How's Maya?" he asked, his voice stripped of its usual confidence. "She's resilient," I told him. "She's starting over. We both are." "I'm sorry, Alara," he said, and for the first time, I believed he meant it. "For everything. The beginning was a lie, I know. But the love, that part was real." "Goodbye, Liam," I said, and hung up, not with anger, but with a quiet, somber finality. Today, Maya and I live in a small town on the Oregon coast. Our house is a rented cottage, simple and a little battered by the salt air, and I love it more than I ever loved the polished perfection of Hawthorne Creek. I work part-time at the local library. It's a quiet life, an authentic one. This morning, I took the Hoyer watch, which had sat in a drawer for a year, and walked to the cliffside path overlooking the ocean. The waves crashed against the rocks below, a powerful, relentless rhythm. For a moment, I thought about the man who wore it, the lies he told, the life he stole. But then I thought of the man he'd become in that last moment in the parking garage, the man who had chosen to save us instead of himself. I pulled my arm back and threw the watch as far as I could. It arced through the air, a tiny, glinting star against the vast blue, before disappearing into the churning water below. It wasn't an act of forgiveness or even of forgetting. It was an act of release. I was no longer an acquisition, no longer a part of someone else's story. I turned and walked back down the path, the sun warm on my face. In the distance, I could see Maya playing on the beach, her laughter carrying on the wind, a sound so pure and real it filled all the empty spaces inside me. She was building a sandcastle, intricate and beautiful, knowing the tide would eventually come and wash it away. And that was okay, because she knew, as I was finally learning, that the joy wasn't in the perfect, permanent structure, but in the simple, beautiful act of building it again.